On this day, a daycare is built over an area where two dimensions are faintly connected and inhabitants able to cross over. Fearing this may happen, about 20 monsters who hate the other world and like our dimension found a way to get here and guard the gateway to the dimensions. Terrified of them, the daycare owners shut it down and flood the area. It has been successfully defended until now. When the gates start to break, all but two of the guardians are defeated, and the other world are hunting the area soon to take over. Zachary and Xavier trudged through the wasteland of scraps to find a large 10-foot steel beam. Zach was a strong, speedy, average-headed kid and very haughty, too, while Xavier was short, intelligent, and whiny. "I know your dad priced $5 for it, but it's going to be so heavy," Xavier complained. "Yes, but if we do, we can afford plasma worth 3, was Zach's response. "Let's go to Steve's place so we can help," said Xavier. After 30 minutes, they arrived and rang the bell. "Sup, dude?" Steve greeted loudly. He was tall, idiotic, and ate a lot of pizza. You can easily tell he likes pizza because of stains on his shirt. "Steve, finish your apple," yelled his mom. "Alex, calm down. He'll bring some," his dad defended. While the parents were arguing, the kids snuck out of the house. "So, what'd you tell him?" Steve interrogated. "My dad's got to pay us $5 each to find a 10-foot metal beam," replied Zach. "All right, let's go." Back to the junkyard, they looked for another hour with no luck and were just about to turn around when... "Hey, guys, check that out," Steve yelled across the junkyard. Zach and Xavier returned to the source of his excitement and saw a wrecked lot with an old school, or daycare. The daycare was made of rotted wood damaged by the elements. The dirt lot was unkempt, and the foot-tall blades of grass smothered it. The door was falling off its rusted hinges and hardly a door anymore. If there was ever any sign of neatness or working order, it was gone now. "Little Gosling Daycare," read Zach. "I don't want to stay for long." "Look," yelled Xavier, "a beam." Sure enough, a 12-foot beam was half sticking out of the damaged wood wall. "Okay, we all have to pull to get it out," commanded Zach. 1, 2, 3. The beam swelled up and made the roof topple behind them. Luckily, our friends slid away from the falling roof just in time. "Phew, that was close," Xavier thought. Zach was still holding the beam and turned to leave when he saw the roof was crushed and they had no way out. The daycare was dark and musty, and every little noise boomed throughout the building. It was humid, but with a trace of a chill. Zach panicked and started whacking the rubble with the pipe, trying to knock it free, but it stayed put. He was too busy to notice Steve prying open a crate, take out a BB gun, and accidentally shoot Xavier in the buttocks. Zach angrily stole the gun from him when he heard crying from Xavier. They were all yelling at each other until a crying was echoing from one of the rooms. "What was that?" Steve said. Zach jumped up and swung the gun defensively, turned the noise, and Steve grabbed the beam and waved it threateningly. The crew walked slowly towards the room until they were all standing in front of the door. Xavier slowly nudged it open to find a wrecked room full of broken and cobwebbed toys, cribs, and mobiles. The room, unlike the entrance, was frigid and smelled like old flesh. Xavier had peeked into the ramshackle cribs and saw one had a lump in it. He grabbed an old board with a nail in it and slowly lifted the blanket. He braced for impact, but all he saw was a crying baby lying on its belly. He stared at it pityingly. Then it flipped belly up and revealed a face with flesh rotting and peeling off, no nose, and a mouth full of 2-inch fangs. It jumped at Xavier and he screamed, but in midair it whimpered and crashed to the ground. Xavier turned and saw a grim-looking Zach with a barrel of a gun pointing at the baby, already reloading. It jumped again and grabbed Xavier, and he tumbled to the floor with it. The monster bit and clawed him, but he managed to throw it off him and slam it into a wall. Our friends carefully approached the creature, but it was out cold. A dark liquid seeped out of its head. Zach exclaimed boastfully, "Well, that was awesome, hands down." Xavier ignored him and searched for another way out. He halted the search when he found a beat-up grapple gun and hook. He realized this had come to good use, so he pocketed it and continued to search. Meanwhile, Steve wandered downstairs. The room, strangely, had imprints of eyes and suns and ghosts. The room, unlike upstairs, was tidied and little dust accumulated on the floor. Boxes were stacked up on the right-hand side. He toured the room and found a double-sided pickaxe. He handled the tool and swung it into a wall accidentally. A dark liquid gushed through the crack it made, a liquid that looked all too familiar. Xavier and Zach were looking for a way out when they fell into a hole screaming. Luckily, the hole wasn't too far down, and they landed safely on their feet. Unfortunately, they saw Steve hitting a big mouth monster on the wall with about 2% chance of winning. He was bloody and bruised, and his arm looked like on the verge of falling apart. He swung a tool into the monster's tongue and released a shriek that crumbled the ceiling onto its long tongue. It hopelessly attempted to yank its tongue back into its starved mouth. and Zach to the chains. Ping! A bullet zinged across the room and slammed into the tube. Suddenly, the roof above it crippled and crushed its tongue again, but it was a larger chunk this time. The tongue thrashed, but soon pulled away. Xavier held up his board and prodded the area where the boxes were. After coughing away the dust, Zach noticed a glimmering object near where the monster was. He crept up to the thing, grabbed it, and examined the gem. It constantly changed color and realized it happened to have thousands of ghosts trapped inside it, silently yelling to free them. A confused Zach showed Xavier, and Xavier straps his head. What? I don't know, but I think he wasn't able to finish the sentence because the floor rumbled and a 3.5-foot blade shot out of it. Like the gem, it glimmered nonstop, but no phantoms floated inside. While trying not to have their brains explode, the kids turned and screamed. An eyeball on the wall blinked and stared at the trio. It glanced at Zach's crystal and opened very wide, as if it was scared of the gem. It started to fade into the wall again hurriedly, but it said deeply and full of millions of years of knowledge. You don't know what you've done, it boomed. Keep the sword. You'll need it. The floor rumbled one last time and then silenced. It talks. The wall talks, Steve whispered. It's not the wall, it's the eyes, Zach said. Although his peers were clueless, he thought he really knew what was happening. They went back upstairs to search for freedom again, but froze when a faint scuffling was heard from the room where they had defeated Baby. Steve, being way too adventurous after the mouth creature, kicked open the door and immediately whipped off his feet and dragged into a room. Steve! Steve was hopelessly kicking at dolls? Yep, dolls, one by one, snapped a snack awake and walked zombie-like towards Steve. The dogs looked just how they did when lifeless, but had glowing eyes. Xavier shot at the dolls, but the bullets went right through it and, undisturbed, went right back to kicking and pulling Steve. Suddenly, Zach had an idea. He grabbed his sword and swung it at the dolls. Sure enough, the dolls spurted gunk when he stabbed or slashed them. He was doing well until one grabbed his shoelaces and judo flipped him onto his face. Zach was being dragged to a huge hole in the ground and he couldn't see the bottom. He screamed and prayed silently when he started falling, and miraculously saw an outstretched friend and grabbed it. But the dolls were closing in on him. He was sure he would die, but a hook whizzed toward the dolls and they flung themselves out of the way. Xavier had a grapple hook and gestured him to grab it. Zach climbed up the rope, punted the nearest doll across the room, and got right back to where he was. Zach was so absorbed into defeating the dolls, he didn't realize the doll jump into his backpack and sneak out his gold gem. Zach detected the shuffle in his bag, grabbed the crystal, and flung the doll. It slammed into a wall and spun to face him again with a twisted grin full of malice. He charged it, but slipped and the contents spilled everywhere, including the gem. It hit the blow of the ghouls and everything fell silent. The dolls went limp, the lights fizzed, not a thing made a sound. You could hear a mouse that happened to be in the room. And a huge shockwave blasted everything away and everything went dark. Zach coughed awake to a dark night in the lot of an old daycare. Everything seemed to be exactly as it was when they went into the old building. Even the beam was still on the wall. What? It's like nothing happened, Xavier stated. Zach sighed with relief, and he turned to depart, but the building groaned violently and imploded. Ghost dolls and other lost souls pirated out of the wreck. The trio's newly developed instinct kicked in. Run. They barreled toward the bus stop, and miraculously a bus pulled in. They sped on and grabbed the handle. The bus driver had his face away from the kids, as did all the other passengers. Raggett's Lane, please. The driver turned and revealed his face. He was a ghoul, and the other passengers were ghouls, ghosts, and dolls as well. Zach shakily drew his sword and faced the monstrosities. He jabbed the driver, crippling him onto the gas, and it shot off, and the monsters all charged. He was grabbed by the dolls and flung to the back of the bus. How are the dolls so strong? Xavier thought. The back door popped open, and it was left headfirst poking out the door, and the dolls snagged the broom on the side of the bus and charged. He closed his eyes and waited for the pain, but remembered no one was driving the bus, and noticed a lamppost very close to the road up ahead. He kicked the doll into the wheel, turning the bus onto the next street. Next, he grabbed a post and hopped off the bus, as Xavier did too shortly after. But Zach never saw Steve hop out. No, screamed Xavier. Zach went, well, this is bad. Suddenly, the bus combusted. It was going so fast, the field shot up in flames. Well, it can't get much worse than this, Zach comforted to a misty-eyed Xavier. Boom! The bus slammed into a brick wall and the top shot sky high. Xavier started crying, and Zach cussed and attacked the monsters. He sliced the 3 of the ghouls and hacked the doll into pieces. Suddenly, he was pinned. 3 dolls punched him in unison, and Zach crippled. The dolls had claws outstretched, homing him, but a growl came in from the left. Two glowing eyes popped out from behind a dumpster. Suddenly, the baby creature Xavier dueled jumped out and bit Dice and slashed the dolls into two. It turned to Zack, snarling, but sat there like he was awaiting orders. Attack that group of dolls, he commanded. It leaped off and shredded the first doll. Zack liked this idea. Zack and the guard conquered about half the plaza until he heard a sickening crunch. Steve jumped out of the wreckage of the bus, beating a ghoul and spinning him to a squad of dolls. He was quite enraged about something. He punched a ghoul in the face and tackled his friends. "Steve, what are you doing?" Xavier yelled. "You will be miserable for the rest of your life!" Steve screeched. At the corner of his eye, Zack saw black liquid dripping from Steve's mouth. "Oh no," Zack said to himself. "What?" Xavier asked. It's the blood of the ghouls," Zack replied. He drank it or something. "Run!" Zack kicked off Steve and started to run away from all the destruction, but stopped, pivoted, and charged backwards. "What are you doing?" screamed Xavier. "Do you have a death wish?" "I think I might," Zack mumbled. He spun towards Steve and took him off guard by shooting his arm with the gun, clunking him on the head with it. He made a guttural, animalistic howl and kicked Zack. He yelped and attacked, but was blocked and kicked again and again and again. Finally, Zack couldn't bear it anymore. He flung himself past Steve's kick, shouted, and stabbed his sword into the asphalt. An unknown force shot everything across the plaza, knocking them out immediately. He stood, panting, admiring his handiwork, where Xavier got to his feet and gawked at him. Xavier tried to say something before fainting. "It's okay, buddy," Zack comforted. No reply. He was out. Out. Zack hopped onto a motorbike that was dented a little, held Xavier, and drove home. When he got home, his father asked him why Xavier was like that. He's just sleepy." He didn't notice that his father was expectantly grinning at him. "What? Oh." Zack remembered how he got stuck in this mess in the first place. "No, I don't. Sorry." "Why, you have it right there." Zack, being very confused, turned and saw his sword in the bag. "That's not a pipe." "Sure it is. Can I have it?" "No, this is mine." "Fine," huffed Zack's dad. "I'll order it online." Zack was outraged to hear that all he had to do was order one online. But he went upstairs to bed with no complaints. He gently laid the sword down next to his bed and put Xavier on a cot he dragged from his parents' room. He was just about to sleep when he heard a collective growls from outside. He looked and saw a plethora of ghosts, ghouls, dolls, and other monsters he encountered during the Great Ghoul War banged on the walls, trying to break in. He swore that he might have seen Steve in the crowd. The dolls ripped off the first plank and then punched right through the sheetrock wall. He nudged Xavier to wake up, but the shockwave probably put him to a very deep sleep. He grimaced, but redressed and snagged his weapons. Steve was right. I am going to be miserable for the rest of my life, because it doesn't look like it's going to match much longer, fortunately. Because it doesn't look like it's going to last much longer, fortunately, growled Zack. "Let's go."